Ethan Vance gripped the controls of his scout ship tightly, eyes scanning the void of the Andromeda expanse. The Terran Alliance had sent him on a routine reconnaissance mission, just another survey of the outer sectors, but he had a growing unease in his chest. Space, as beautiful as it was, could hide danger behind the darkest corners, and this sector had a reputation for anomalies. His ship, the Aurora Hawk, hummed steadily, its silver frame reflecting the faint light of distant stars. Ethan adjusted the ship's sensors, hoping to detect any threats before they detected him. He had flown through dangerous sectors before, but something felt different this time, like the shadows themselves were waiting. A sudden alarm jolted him. Red lights flashed across the dashboard. "Multiple unidentified vessels approaching fast," Ethan muttered, heart pounding. He knew in an instant they weren't friendly. Before he could react further, the warning sirens blared louder. A fleet of marauder ships burst from the darkness, sleek and menacing, firing plasma bolts that seared across the void. The Aurora Hawk shuddered violently as shields absorbed the first impact. Ethan slammed the throttle forward, weaving between blasts, his training keeping him focused. "They're too fast, too coordinated," he muttered. "I can't outrun them." A loud explosion rocked the hull and alarms screamed. Smoke filled the cockpit. Ethan felt the ship lurch violently, throwing him against the harness. He struggled to stabilize the vessel, his hands moving instinctively over the controls. He was alone, surrounded by enemies, and the probability of survival was dropping by the second. Then, just as the marauders closed in, a sudden streak of light cut across the battlefield. Ethan squinted, trying to make sense of it. A ship unlike any he had ever seen appeared, moving with impossible speed and precision. It fired a sequence of powerful energy beams, scattering the marauders in an instant. One by one, their ships exploded, leaving Ethan staring in disbelief. The alien vessel was sleek, its hull glowing faintly with an unearthly blue light. Symbols he did not recognize ran along the surface, pulsing like living circuits. From the bridge of this strange ship, a figure observed him. Ethan could see her now, tall, imposing with angular features and eyes that glowed faintly gold. She wore a uniform that radiated authority. She was calm, confident, and terrifying all at once. The battle was over almost as suddenly as it had begun. The remaining marauders fled into the darkness. Ethan floated in the wreckage of his own trembling ship, heart still racing when the alien ship approached. A docking beam extended, and before he could protest, he was gently pulled aboard. Inside, the ship was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. The corridors were smooth, almost organic, with lights that seemed to adjust themselves to his presence. The air was clean, breathable, but it smelled faintly metallic and sharp like charged energy. He looked around, taking in the strange technology, the silent hum of the engines, and the crew. Other aliens moving efficiently, working without words. Who are you?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling slightly. The alien captain stepped forward. "I am Captain Lysara of the Valeth. You are lucky to be alive, human." Her voice was smooth, resonant, and carried authority without arrogance. "Luck alone did not save you. You were in a dangerous position and we intervened." Ethan swallowed hard. I don't understand why. I mean, you don't even know me." Lysara's golden eyes held his gaze. "Sometimes fate crosses paths with others for reasons beyond gratitude. You are not here by chance, Ethan Vance. There is more at stake than your life." Ethan's heart skipped. "More, what do you mean?" Before Lysara could answer, the ship's sensors detected movement outside. Ethan instinctively looked at the viewports. In the darkness of space, distant lights blinked, the faint signatures of other ships. Lysara noticed his reaction. "Do not concern yourself with them for now," she said. "You are safe aboard my ship." Ethan tried to calm himself, but his mind raced. He had always believed humans were resourceful and brave, but seeing this alien craft, witnessing its sheer power, made him question everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. "Why me?" he asked finally, his voice quieter. "Why bother saving me?" Lysara's expression softened slightly, though her posture remained perfect. "Because you are human, and humans have a quality we do not fully understand. Courage, ingenuity, persistence. You adapt in ways we do not anticipate. That alone makes you interesting." Ethan blinked. Interesting? He was still trying to comprehend that his life had been spared by an alien warrior and her crew. He was the survivor of a fight he should never have won. And now, This alien captain was implying that there was a reason, some purpose behind it all. The ship's artificial intelligence guided him to a small chamber designed for guests. He sat still catching his breath as Lysera continued to observe him silently. Then she spoke again. You have a choice, human. You may return to your sector and report that you were saved by a species unknown to your kind, or you may join me on a mission that will demand more than gratitude. It will demand courage, resourcefulness, and resolve beyond anything you have faced before. Ethan's mind raced. Return home and resume his ordinary life? Or venture into the unknown with this alien captain, leaving behind the familiar safety of human space? His instincts screamed both fear and curiosity. Why me? He asked again, unable to stop himself. Why am I the one being offered this? Lysera's golden eyes seemed to pierce through him. Because you have the potential to change events far beyond your comprehension. There are forces moving in the galaxy, human, that threaten more than a single species. You were in the wrong place at the right time. Destiny has a way of demanding action from those it touches. Ethan leaned back, struggling to process the weight of her words. He had been trained for combat, for survival, for missions that tested skill and endurance. But he had never been told that his very existence might be part of a larger purpose. And if I refuse? He asked cautiously. Then you will return to your sector alive but uninvolved, Lysera replied, and the galaxy will move forward without your influence. That is not a threat, human. It is merely the truth. Ethan felt a mix of relief and disappointment. Alive, yes, but the thought of returning to his routine, knowing that he had been chosen for something greater, seemed hollow. He looked out the viewport at the stars streaking past as the Valeth jumped to light speed. The universe seemed endless, filled with possibilities he had never imagined. A part of him, the part that had always dreamed of adventure, of leaving the ordinary behind, stirred within him. I'll go, he said finally, his voice steady. I want to know what this mission is, what I'm supposed to do. Lysera studied him for a long moment as if evaluating his resolve. Then she nodded once sharply. Very well, she said. Prepare yourself. The path ahead will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine. But remember this, human. Courage and ingenuity are not measured by the weapons you wield or the technology at your disposal. They are measured by the choices you make, the risks you take, and the lives you protect. You have survived today, Ethan Vance. That is proof you have what it takes to begin this journey. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle over him. He didn't fully understand what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. Life as he knew it was gone. The universe had called him to a larger destiny, and he could not turn away. As the Valeth accelerated toward the uncharted sectors of the Andromeda expanse, Ethan stared out into the infinite darkness, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. The stars blurred past, but one thought remained clear. He had been saved for a reason, and whatever destiny demanded of him next, he was determined to rise to the challenge. The mission and his place in the galaxy was just beginning. Ethan Vance stood in the central hub of the Valeth, staring at the alien crew moving with swift precision. Every movement they made seemed purposeful, flawless, almost inhuman. Even after a full day aboard the ship, he could not shake the feeling that he was an outsider in this alien world. Captain Lysera approached, her golden eyes sharp and focused. You will need to work with the crew, human. Observation alone will not prepare you for what lies ahead. Cooperation is essential. Ethan nodded. I'll try. The first test came sooner than expected. The ship's sensors detected a small distress signal on a nearby planet, a settlement under siege by a pirate-like alien faction called the Zarathians. Lysera turned to Ethan. You may accompany the landing party, she said. It will be your first chance to prove your worth. Ethan's stomach tightened. A mission outside the ship meant danger, but he knew he could not refuse. He followed the team to the deployment bay. The crew moved with a fluidity he could not match, their limbs almost in sync with the ship itself. He struggled to adjust, fumbling with the alien gear, feeling every ounce of human awkwardness. You move like a human, one crew member said, their tone neutral but unmistakably critical. Caution is admirable, but hesitation can cost lives. Ethan clenched his jaw. I'll catch up, he muttered under his breath. The landing pod shook as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Ethan felt the familiar rush of adrenaline, but this was different from human combat. The gravity of the planet was slightly stronger than Earth's, and the air was thinner. He felt each breath burn, his body straining to keep up. As the pod landed near the settlement, the team stepped out into a scene of chaos. Buildings smoldered, alien civilians ran screaming, and the Zerathians were already engaged in the attack. Their armor shimmered with an energy Ethan had never seen, and their weapons discharged bright beams that tore through the structures. Lysera signaled the team. "Contain the attack. Protect the civilians. Ethan, follow my lead." Ethan followed, but instinct took over as he noticed a group of children trapped under a collapsed structure. He dashed forward without thinking. Lysera's eyes flickered briefly, disapproval mixed with something else, almost curiosity, but she did not stop him. Using a combination of human improvisation and raw determination, Ethan lifted debris and helped the children escape. The crew watched silently, their expressions unreadable. When he returned to the group, he was breathing heavily, sweat dripping from his brow. "You adapt quickly," Lysera said, "but adaptability alone will not win battles. Strategy and foresight are just as important." Ethan nodded, realizing she was right. Human ingenuity was his strength, but it needed guidance in this alien context. The team moved deeper into the settlement, confronting the Zerathians. Unlike previous enemies Ethan had faced, these beings seemed almost invulnerable to direct attacks. Their energy shields absorbed almost everything the alien crew fired, forcing Lysera to rely on evasive maneuvers rather than confrontation. Ethan noticed patterns in their behavior that the alien crew did not. The Zerathians seemed to hesitate after launching attacks, their shields resetting slowly. Their formations were rigid, almost predictable if someone could read them carefully. "Captain," Ethan said, pointing. "Their shields, they cycle. If we attack in bursts, we might be able to bypass them." Lysera's golden eyes met his. For a moment, the perfection of her demeanor cracked, replaced by a rare flicker of approval. "Go on." Ethan outlined a plan. Using smaller teams to distract the Zerathians while precise attacks hit during the shield cycle, they could reduce casualties and save more civilians. The crew listened, some skeptically, but Lysera allowed it. The plan worked. The Zerathians were caught off guard, their defenses breached, and the remaining civilians evacuated safely. Ethan's combination of human intuition and quick thinking had made a significant difference. After the battle, the team returned to the Valeth. Ethan's hands were sore, his body exhausted, but he felt a sense of pride he had never known. Lysera observed him silently, her expression unreadable, then spoke. "You have potential, human, not because you are brave or strong, but because you can see possibilities that others cannot. Do not forget this." Ethan nodded. "I won't." That night he wandered the corridors, trying to understand the alien culture around him. He watched the crew communicate silently through subtle gestures and glowing implants. Their efficiency was impressive, but he realized that something was missing. Spontaneity, unpredictability. Humans had that, and it could be a powerful advantage. His thoughts were interrupted by a low hum in the ship's core. The holographic display in the command center flickered, showing an object in a distant sector. A floating artifact, unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Lysera's gaze was fixed on it. "This is what I wanted you to see," she said. "The artifact reacts, specifically to humans. That is why you were saved. There is more at work here than you understand." Ethan leaned closer. "Why me? Why not another human?" Lysera's voice was calm, almost cold. "Because you possess qualities that the artifact responds to. Courage, adaptability, intuition. You are not just a human, it seems you are a human of significance." Ethan felt a mix of awe and fear. He had survived marauders, adapted to alien technology, and even helped save lives. But now it seemed that some cosmic force had singled him out. The next few days were spent training and preparing for missions beyond human space. Ethan learned to use alien technology, studied their tactics, and observed Lysera's leadership. Every challenge pushed him further, forcing him to trust his instincts while integrating with the crew. Despite the growing trust, not all crew members accepted him. Some whispered behind his back, skeptical of a human's ability to contribute meaningfully. Others observed silently, waiting to see if his initial successes were luck. Ethan understood their caution. He was an outsider in every sense, but he refused to let it discourage him. One evening, while calibrating the ship's sensors, Ethan spoke to Lysera. "Do you really think humans can make a difference in all this?" Against threats like the Zerathians? Lysara regarded him quietly. Humans see solutions where others see dead ends. That is why you are here. You may not yet realize it, but your kind carries something rare in the galaxy: resilience and creativity. You adapt where others fail. That alone can tip the balance in moments that matter. Ethan considered her words, the weight of responsibility settling over him. He had been rescued, yes, but survival alone was no longer enough. Destiny had a role for him, and he could feel it pressing forward. As the Valeth approached the edge of the system, sensors picked up faint signals, others Arathian vessels moving in formation. Lysara's expression hardened. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We have stirred the hornet's nest. The Zerathians will not forgive interference. You will face challenges that test everything you are, Ethan Vance." Ethan nodded, determination rising within him. He had been given a second chance at life, a rare opportunity to prove that humans could stand among the stars. He would not waste it. That night, as the stars streaked past the viewport, Ethan reflected on everything that had happened. He had been an ordinary pilot, a soldier of routine missions. Now he was part of something much greater, an interstellar struggle that demanded more than skill or bravery. It demanded intelligence, heart, and the unique spark of humanity. And for the first time, he realized that being human was not a limitation. It was a strength. The artifact awaited them, and with it the answers to questions Ethan had yet to understand. But he was ready. He would face whatever lay ahead, alongside Lysara and her crew, even if it meant stepping into danger at every turn. In the silent hum of the Valeth, Ethan Vance felt the first true excitement of his life. Adventure, danger, destiny, all lay ahead. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a participant in something larger than himself, something that could change the galaxy. And so, humanity's role in this new chapter of the stars began, not with weapons or technology, but with courage, ingenuity, and the unshakable will of one human being ready to meet his destiny. Ethan Vance had learned much about the alien crew in the days since his rescue, but nothing could have prepared him for the challenge that awaited. The Valeth approached a frozen moon on the edge of the Andromeda expanse, a world that seemed lifeless from orbit, yet sensors indicated heavy activity, a Zerathian stronghold, bristling with technology unlike anything humans or even Lysara's species had encountered. Lysara stood on the bridge, her posture perfect, her gaze fixed on the holographic display. "This is their central outpost," she said. "From here they control fleets and coordinate attacks across multiple systems. Direct confrontation would be suicide. We will need strategy, precision, and adaptability." Ethan studied the hologram, tracing the energy signatures and troop placements. "Their defenses are strong," he said slowly, "but I notice a pattern in their patrol routes and shield cycles. They're predictable in some areas, rigid even. If we can exploit that, we might get inside undetected." Lysara's eyes narrowed, impressed despite herself. "You may be human, Ethan Vance, but you understand patterns well. That is useful." The landing party suited up. Ethan felt the familiar weight of his gear, the hum of the alien weapons, and the thrill of anticipation. He glanced at Lysara. She gave him a slight nod, a silent acknowledgement of his growing role. The shuttle descended into the frozen moon's atmosphere. Below, the outpost rose like a fortress of ice and metal, with energy barriers pulsing along its walls. The Zerathians moved with mechanical precision, scanning for intruders. As the shuttle touched down, Lysara turned to Ethan. "Remember, human, observe, adapt, survive. You have skills we cannot replicate, but one mistake could cost everything." Ethan nodded. He had faced danger before, but this mission was different. It was not just about survival. It was about turning the tide in a conflict that could affect entire star systems. The team moved through the icy terrain, avoiding patrols and using the shadows for cover. Ethan noticed subtle details others overlooked: the frequency of the Zerathians' shield cycles, the way their energy pulses fluctuated, small openings in their scanning patterns. He relayed these observations to Lysara, who adjusted the team's movements accordingly. They reached the perimeter of the outpost. The alien technology was intimidating, almost impossible to bypass using conventional methods. Energy barriers glowed fiercely and sensors scanned continuously for anomalies. Lysara signaled the team to halt. Ethan studied the barriers. There's a blind spot, he whispered. It's small, only a few meters, but if we move in short bursts, we can slip past undetected. Lysara's eyes flickered with surprise. You have analyzed it carefully. Proceed. One by one, the team followed Ethan's lead, moving precisely through the blind spot. Even the most experienced alien soldiers relied on direct confrontation, but Ethan's human ingenuity turned stealth into an advantage. Inside the outpost, the team faced more challenges. Automated defense systems, energy turrets, and mechanical guards threatened their progress at every turn. Ethan's observations continued to guide them. He suggested distractions, calculated timing, and unconventional paths through the maze-like corridors. Each idea leveraged his human perspective, intuition, creativity, and improvisation. At one point, they encountered a room filled with Zerathian soldiers, their energy shields active. The team froze, ready for combat, but Ethan raised a hand. Wait. If we hit the central control panel here, he said, pointing, we can disable the shields for a short window. It's enough for us to pass without direct confrontation. Lysara hesitated. It is risky. One miscalculation and alarms will trigger. Ethan nodded. I understand. But it's the only way without heavy casualties. With Lysara's permission, Ethan moved forward. His hands flew over the control interface, interpreting alien symbols and activating the override. Lights flickered, energy shields lowered, and the team passed safely. The Zerathians were caught unaware, giving the humans and aliens a critical advantage. Deeper inside the outpost, the team discovered a room unlike any other. At its center floated an artifact radiating energy. Ethan felt a strange pull toward it, as if it recognized him. The holographic patterns around the artifact shifted, reacting to his presence. Lysara's voice was quiet but firm. Do not touch it, human. We do not fully understand its function. But Ethan could not ignore the sense of connection. He observed the artifact carefully, noting how it responded to subtle movements and thoughts. Using his human intuition, he manipulated the controls cautiously. The artifact projected a holographic map, revealing hidden installations and superweapon placements across multiple star systems. Lysara's golden eyes widened. It recognizes your mind, Ethan Vance. This is why you were saved. The artifact has chosen you to act. Ethan swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, but he also felt a surge of determination. He realized that human intuition, creativity, and adaptability were not just strengths. They were necessary to confront this alien technology. The team's mission became urgent. The artifact had revealed the location of a Zerathian superweapon capable of destroying entire colonies. Time was critical. Lysara turned to Ethan. You will guide us to this location, she said. Your insight may be the difference between success and failure. Ethan nodded, feeling the gravity of the moment. He had been a pilot, a soldier, a survivor. But now he was something more. A key player in a battle that could determine the fate of countless lives. As they traveled to the coordinates indicated by the artifact, Ethan observed Lysara's crew. They were skilled, disciplined, and formidable, but they lacked the human spark of creativity. Where they followed protocol, Ethan improvised. Where they hesitated, he acted. And slowly he noticed a subtle shift in their behavior. Respect replaced skepticism, and some even sought his counsel. One night, while the ship moved silently through a nebula, Lysara approached him. You have proven useful, she said. Perhaps more than I initially believed. Humans have a quality our species cannot fully comprehend. That is why you survive, why you succeed where others might fail. Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. I just try to think differently. That's all I know, she nodded. Different thinking can be more powerful than strength or speed. Remember that, human. The galaxy will test you, but it will also reward ingenuity. The journey continued, and the closer they came to the superweapon, the greater the danger. Zerathian patrols became more frequent, and their technology more advanced. Yet Ethan's observations remained crucial. He found weaknesses, suggested maneuvers, and predicted enemy behavior with remarkable accuracy. His human mind, capable of adaptability and unconventional thinking, had become their greatest asset. Finally, the team arrived at the coordinates, a massive orbital platform, bristling with energy weapons and shield generators. From orbit, the superweapon seemed impenetrable. Lysara studied the systems carefully, her expression unreadable. We cannot attack directly, she said. "It is too well defended. We must find another way inside." Ethan's eyes scanned the platform. He noticed a supply conduit leading to the interior, overlooked by the Zerathians. It was narrow, barely detectable, but it provided a path. "I think we can use that," he said. "It's risky, but if we move quickly, we can infiltrate the core without alerting the main defenses." Lysara studied him closely. "Your instincts are correct. You have the human advantage, Ethan Vance. We will follow your lead." The infiltration was tense. Ethan led the team through the narrow conduit, timing their movements with precision. Turrets scanned the corridors, sensors pulsed, and automated defenses activated, but Ethan's careful planning allowed them to avoid detection. Inside the core, they found the control center for the superweapon. Energy flows pulsed rhythmically, feeding into the massive structure. The crew began their work, disabling systems and planting temporary disruptors. Ethan's knowledge of patterns and intuition guided every step, minimizing errors and maximizing efficiency. Finally, with a deep breath, Ethan initiated the final override. The superweapon powered down, its energy flows dissipating harmlessly. The team exhaled in relief. They had succeeded where conventional tactics might have failed, thanks to the human mind guiding their actions. Lysara approached him, her expression a mixture of admiration and acknowledgement. "You have done what many would have failed to achieve. Your species is remarkable, perhaps not because of strength or technology, but because of adaptability and creativity. That is the human advantage." Ethan smiled, exhausted but proud. For the first time, he understood what she meant. Humans were not the strongest, the fastest, or the most technologically advanced, but their ingenuity and resilience could change the course of events, even against the most formidable enemies. As the Valeth departed the frozen moon, the stars stretching past the viewport, Ethan felt a sense of purpose unlike anything he had experienced before. He was no longer just a survivor or a soldier. He was a vital part of a larger mission, one that demanded courage, intelligence, and human creativity. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, and the Zerathians would not rest. But for the first time, Ethan Vance felt confident in humanity's place among the stars. They were more than survivors. They were innovators, problem solvers, and heroes in their own right. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The frozen moon had fallen behind the Valeth, but danger remained ever present. Ethan Vance had proven himself capable, yet nothing could prepare him for the challenge ahead. The coordinates from the artifact led them to a massive Zerathian installation at the edge of a swirling nebula, a fortress designed to test any who dared enter. Lysara stood on the bridge, her golden eyes scanning the holographic projections. "This installation is heavily guarded and heavily automated," she said. "We cannot storm it directly. Every step will test your courage, your instincts, and your ability to act under pressure." Ethan nodded. "I understand. We'll need to be precise. One mistake and it could be the end." The shuttle descended toward the installation. From orbit, the structure seemed impregnable. Its towers pierced the nebula clouds, energy shields pulsing around every perimeter. Automated defense drones patrolled constantly, scanning for anomalies. Lysara turned to Ethan. "You must lead the infiltration. Your understanding of patterns and unpredictability is our advantage. But remember, this mission is not about personal bravery. It is about choices, human. Choices that may cost more than you expect." Ethan swallowed hard. He had faced danger before, but Lysara's words carried weight. Survival was no longer enough. The fate of countless lives rested on their actions. The team descended through a side corridor undetected, guided by Ethan's observations. Every movement was calculated, every pause deliberate. Automated turrets scanned the halls, but Ethan anticipated their timing, allowing the team to pass safely. Suddenly, an alert sounded. A Zerathian patrol had detected movement nearby. Lysara's crew readied weapons, but Ethan froze. "Wait," he said. "We can divert them. Follow me." Using the installation's own ventilation system, he led the team through narrow passages. The patrol passed above, unaware of their presence. Lysara's eyes betrayed a flicker of respect. "You are bold, human, but courage alone will not suffice." Deeper inside, they encountered the control center for the installation. Energy flows pulsed through massive conduits, feeding the superweapon systems and defensive shields. Automated drones activated, ready to attack. Ethan analyzed the patterns carefully. Their timing is consistent, he said. If we act in a short window, we can bypass the drones and reach the core without triggering full defenses. Lysara nodded. You have the human advantage, Ethan. Proceed. The team moved swiftly, dodging lasers and avoiding sensors. Ethan's quick thinking allowed them to disable a critical relay, creating a temporary path to the core. Inside the core chamber, they found the superweapon's main control console. Energy flowed around it like a living organism. Ethan understood immediately what had to be done. But as he prepared to act, a voice echoed through the chamber. A holographic projection of the Zarathian commander appeared. You are humans, it said, its tone cold and calculating. And yet one among you carries a destiny not meant for your kind. Sacrifice yourself or the weapon will fire. Choose wisely, Ethan froze. The weight of the choice pressed on him. To stop the weapon, he could risk his life, or trust Lysara and the team to act while he manipulated the system remotely. Lysara's voice broke through the silence. Ethan, you have been chosen because you are human. Use your mind. Courage alone will not win this battle. Taking a deep breath, Ethan began working the controls. He manipulated the alien interface carefully, following instincts and intuition. Every movement had to be precise. Alarms blared as energy pulses surged around him, threatening to fry the systems. The team held their ground, fending off drones while Ethan navigated the complex interface. Minutes felt like hours, but his human adaptability allowed him to see connections others missed. A sequence of inputs destabilized the superweapon's energy core, creating a chain reaction that would disable it safely. Just as the energy reached critical levels, Ethan leapt back, and the core went dark. The superweapon powered down and alarms ceased. The threat had been neutralized, not through brute force, but through careful thought, courage, and human ingenuity. Lysara stepped forward. You have done more than survive, human. You have acted when destiny demanded it. This is the mark of your species, the human advantage. Ethan nodded, exhausted but triumphant. He realized that being chosen, being rescued, and being tested was never about gratitude. It was about his ability to make the right choices under impossible circumstances. As they exited the installation, Lysara's crew regarded him with respect. Even those who had doubted him before now acknowledged the truth. Humans were capable of things that even the galaxy's most advanced species could not predict. The Vaelith departed the nebula, leaving the disabled installation behind. Ethan knew the victory was temporary. The Zarathians would regroup and retaliate. But he also knew humanity's role had been cemented. In the quiet of the ship, he reflected on what had happened. Courage was not enough. Survival was not enough. Destiny demanded action, and humans, through ingenuity, intuition, and resilience, could rise to the challenge. The stars stretched past the viewport, and Ethan realized that this was only the beginning. His journey had transformed him. He was no longer merely a pilot or a survivor. He was a participant in a larger story, one that would test him, and humanity, in ways he could only begin to imagine. The Vaelith traveled through the silent corridors of space, leaving the nebula behind. Ethan Vance sat quietly in the observation deck, staring at the distant stars. The mission had succeeded, yet he felt no relief, only the weight of responsibility and the promise of what lay ahead. Lysara approached, her golden eyes reflecting the starlight. You have done well, Ethan Vance, not because you followed orders, but because you acted when action was required. Humans have a quality we do not fully understand, the ability to adapt, to think creatively under pressure. That is why you were chosen. Ethan smiled faintly. I only did what I thought was right. I didn't know it mattered beyond that. Lysara shook her head slightly. It matters more than you realize. The galaxy is vast, filled with threats beyond comprehension. Your species has something unique. Resilience, ingenuity, moral courage. You have proven it today. Ethan felt a surge of pride. He had been rescued, trained, tested, and now acknowledged. But he also understood the truth. Gratitude alone was not enough. Destiny demanded more. Courage, wisdom, and action were required at every step. The artifact they had discovered continued to pulse faintly, projecting a star map that highlighted strategic locations across multiple systems. Lysara studied it carefully. These coordinates mark potential alliances, outposts, and locations of strategic importance. Humanity's future is intertwined with these points. You will play a role in shaping what comes next. Ethan leaned closer to the hologram, tracing the paths with his fingers. So this is just the beginning? He asked. Lysara nodded. Yes, there will be challenges, conflicts, and difficult decisions. But your species has the capacity to rise above them. Remember, human, strength is not measured solely by firepower or technology, but by choices, resilience, and adaptability. The weeks that followed were a mixture of training, diplomacy, and preparation. Ethan worked closely with Lysara and her crew, learning alien tactics, understanding advanced technology, and refining his own abilities. He was no longer just a human observer. He was a vital part of the team. One day, while navigating through a dense asteroid field, the sensors detected a distress signal, a human colony under siege by a rogue Zerathian fleet. The colony was vulnerable, poorly defended, and would be annihilated without intervention. Ethan's heart tightened. We have to help them, he said, urgency in his voice. Lysara's eyes softened. Then we will. But you will lead this operation, human. Use your ingenuity. Think as humans do, and you may succeed where others fail. The operation was tense and challenging. Ethan coordinated the team, using unconventional tactics to evade enemy fire, deploy defenses, and protect the colony. Where alien strategy relied on precision and protocol, Ethan's human thinking leveraged creativity, unpredictability, and adaptability. The colony survived the attack thanks to his decisions. Afterward, Lysara spoke to him privately. You have shown what humans can achieve. Gratitude would be insufficient to describe your contribution. You have fulfilled destiny's demand, not through strength alone, but through wisdom, courage, and creativity. This is the mark of your species. Ethan realized the truth in her words. Humans were not just survivors or soldiers. They were problem solvers, innovators, and leaders capable of making a difference in the galaxy. And with Lysara's guidance, he could ensure that humanity's role would grow. The journey continued, each mission revealing new challenges, new allies, and new threats. Yet through it all, Ethan remained steadfast. The artifact's star map guided them, hinting at alliances, resources, and hidden dangers. Humanity's influence expanded quietly but steadily, proving itself indispensable in the galaxy. One evening, Ethan stood on the observation deck, looking at a distant star system. He felt a profound sense of purpose. He had been saved once, but now he understood that being saved was never the point. Destiny demanded action, and humanity, through courage, adaptability, and intelligence, was ready to meet that demand. Lysara joined him silently. You have changed, human. You have embraced responsibility, risk, and the challenges of destiny. You are no longer merely grateful. You are active, happy,